and this was selected by Phil Taylor. No, not the darts player, but the writer of Music Observed, who also features on our roundtable on the 5 to 9 blog. Check out his writing, some really great stuff on his blog. So we offered up a choice for him, and he's chosen Mae Krell's "I Think I Might Be Grown." And Kylie, I'm going to ask you to lead the discussion here.
Yeah. So, the three of us are always talking about how, we love to have debut records on the pod. And Mae Krell is a new to me, definitely artist. And so, I went into this with a lot of excitement. And just briefly, I've listened to this album, I think 5 times, trying to come away with something that sticks for me. And it's continually over and over. I turn it on and it fades into the background. And, and then I've got the infinite play going on Apple Music. And it's something else that comes after it that I'm always like, oh yeah, I'd rather listen to this. I cannot get into this record. It's just there's I think it's a great thing that there is a embarrassment of riches for female artists right now writing these folk songs. I'm happy about that, but when there's an overabundance, this to me just kind of fades into the pile, and not many notes on it. So that I had sent to you guys earlier. It came out in March, but I got into it in April. But I guess I would say a similar album that I listened to way more this month and really enjoyed is Byland, Heavy for a While, who Allie Byland, she grew up in Albuquerque and now lives in Seattle. And, I found out about her because she's playing at the hotel this Saturday. And after listening to that record, I'm just really excited about it. And so I think it's a combination of Mae Krell just not grabbing my ears and having that Byland record, come across my desk at the same time that I just absolutely adore. It's fantastic. And so very, very brief notes on this one. And I guess, for a sophomore album, I would just hope for a little more variance, the instrumentation, the lyrics, and not have it so every song kind of just runs together and I don't remember any of it.
Do you remember any of it, Carl?
Yeah, so I mean, similar to Kylie, I hadn't heard of Mae Krell before going into this one, and those initial plays, I definitely had similar thoughts as well. I'd say I went on quite a journey with this one. Like I said, like the first, we all kind of had the same reaction when we were kind of discussing it in the chat. Pleasant, but nothing really standing out. I think I used the term unremarkable as well after the first play. And, it's one that I've kind of gone back to. And I think several plays later, I was kind of thinking, maybe I was being slightly harsh. I agree with what Kylie's saying in terms of, like, it's still not quite grabbing me as much as I want it to. But I think definitely after a couple of plays, excuse the pun, I think I might have grown to quite enjoy it to a certain degree, I would say. So, it's an album that I quite happily have on, like, while I'm working. There's nothing, offensive that has me reaching for the skip button. And, while I said, yeah, I don't think it's going to win any awards for, best debut that we're going to hear this year. I will say that I think it does show, Mae's potential, which is what, a debut should do. Um, the more I played it, I think there was actually ended up being quite a few songs on here I really like. And I think that show that potential. I think that middle section was kind of the sweet spot for me. Body Bag was definitely a highlight for now, around that kind of middle run as well, Too Hard. I think that kind of middle bit is, a really solid run of tracks, quite understated, really sweet vocals. You've got these gentle kind of sweep of strings coming in and out. And yeah, like I say, I think Body Bag was kind of my pick for that run. But the one track that I really find myself coming back to is in the back half. It's called is it This Place? That was the one moment for me where I think Mae really does like present herself. Just a really gorgeous song. Probably her most like passionate vocal performance on the record. There's some great like piano running in the background that kind of whisks it along quite nicely. So yeah, that song, I would say that's the one that I find myself kind of drawn to the most. But then the title track at the end, I think that sets it up quite nicely for whatever she decides to do next, with her next project. It's a real like nice way to end the record, and I think again that's one of the stronger tracks on here as well. So yeah, similar to Kylie, I think this is a decent debut, but for me, it's definitely like not a mind blowing one. Like I say, it's gotten better with every listen, and it's an album. I'm quite happy to play front to back. Like I say, on occasion, I think it is so understated. It does fade into the background a bit, but when it does catch me, with my full attention, I do see its charm like coming through more each time. And like Kylie said, one of the issues is it's arrived at the same time as we've had albums from, Adrian Lenker, as Waxahachie, as Maggie Rogers, one that we're going to talk about as well in a moment that I think you could kind of put into that style as well. All albums that I've really loved in recent weeks, and yeah, I just don't think it quite hits the highs that those records hit. But then they're all, artists on there, several albums in at this point. So yeah, for me, an enjoyable listen, decent debut. But yeah, maybe not a record that's necessarily going to set things alight, I would say.
I'm going to continue the thread we've burrowed here. So yeah, fully agree. It's a very crowded field when you have a female singer-songwriter, mainly acoustic guitar led, slow songs. It takes something really to stand out that crowd, and yeah, it doesn't. And obviously the caveat is it's a debut, so I think there's glimmers of something which point to interesting future directions here. And there were some songs I thought were pretty good. Like the intro was a nice introduction into it with a bit of piano. The guitar, I think, Too Hard, had a bit of a cinematic quality to it. And like Carl, I enjoyed Grown as the last song on the album, which again didn't really change up too much from what you hear for the rest of it, and I think that is really the thrust of what we're seeing as a downside to this album, essentially, that it just finds that kind of middle lane and sticks to it. And yeah, I think I enjoyed her vocals. I think she's got a lovely voice, and I think clearly there is something there. Taking on a more varied route would be would be interesting to see. with the music. The lyrics as well, I thought were very thoughtfully written, as hard as they are. And you know, as you say, another album this month, listening to them side by side is certainly puts you in a certain headspace, which is usually the winter months. You might sort of get an autumnal kind of load of albums on in that way. So I see your point there, but with this one, it is not really standing out. So more growth to carry on that analogy there from Carl, I think required. And that's where I'll wrap it up. You can hear perhaps, but daughter's not that impressed either. So or maybe you can't hear, but she's crying in the other room.